When was the last time that you saw a movie that was so mind-blowing and so impressive and felt like it genuinely uplifts the medium of film itself to the point that it's hard to even put into words how much it moved you, how much it impacted you, and to even pick out what your favorite part of the movie was? Because for me, it was a couple hours ago when I went and saw Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler, starring, surprise, surprise, Michael B. Jordan, but also Haley Steinfeld and Omar Benson Miller and Delroy Lindo and a new kid, it looks like, named Miles Catone, I think is how you say his name. Looks like this is the first thing that he's ever done. And mark my words, you're gonna see a whole lot more of him. Now, obviously, Ryan Coogler doesn't go anywhere without Michael B. Jordan, but there's another person that follows him pretty much everywhere, and that's Ludwig Göransson, who does the music for a lot of his movies, including Creed and Black Panther, and now Sinners. The music is going to be the thing that I talk about, I think, the most out of this whole movie, because that's really what it's about. I know that Warner Brothers kind of like gave away the store when it comes to what the movie is. Like they told you it's about vampires, and there's another big twist that they gave away in the trailers that if you don't know what it is, I'm not going to say what it is here. I wish that they hadn't done that, because in truth, that's not what the movie's about. It's a From Dusk Till Dawn type of setup where like the first good portion of the movie, in this case the first half, I would say, is about one thing. It's a hard misdirect, but it spends all that time characterizing the people that you're gonna be seeing over the course of the movie, particularly the twins Smoke and Stack, both played by Michael B. Jordan. And to be honest, Michael B knocks it out of the park with this particular set of performances. I know it's kind of like played up to have one actor play two versions of the same character or something like that on a green screen, but this year, both Robert Pattinson and Michael B. Jordan have really blown me away with their ability to do it. It's also just a really impressively done trick in the movie. You have both twins passing things back and forth between each other. I'd really like to see it behind the scenes of just how they pulled it off, but it's really good, it's really seamless. But the way that he plays the two twins, it's easy to tell them apart based on their personality, but they're not like wildly different. They both feel like realistic people for the setting that this takes place in. It's not like one is a goody two shoes and the other one's like a mustache twirling villain. It's not like that. They're similar in a lot of ways, but they're different in just as many ways, just like anybody would be with their sibling. But he's really good here. Haley Steinfeld's really good here. She's good in everything I've ever seen her in. She's a remarkable talent, but she also gives a particularly impressive performance here. But back to the music. The music is really what like drives the story. It's what pushes the events forward. It's what sets the atmosphere and sets the tone. There's a sequence in this movie that's about 2-3 minutes long where the music literally starts to transform the experience. I won't go into any further detail than that, but it's the most like, I keep saying impressive and mind-blowing, but that's what the movie is. It's such a moving and touching moment, and I found it so beautiful. The music in the movie is so beautiful. And if you're a fan of the blues like I am, you have to see this movie. Even if you're not. Even if you're the least bit interested in R&B or hip-hop or anything like that, it comes from the blues. But the blues isn't the beginning point of it. It comes from centuries before that, you know? Music is a language spoken by people of all backgrounds. And that's really the message of the movie, if it has to have one message, is that music is the thing that brings everybody together, and it's the language that everybody understands. That's even something that Stevie Wonder has told us in the song Sir Duke. But that's really just the where do I even want to go with this? It's the central theme of the movie is music, and you know, like any movie in the 21st century, there's some allegory, there's some commentary. It's not the most subtle thing in the world, but I don't really care about that because it's presented in such a fresh and interesting way. It's all symbolism. It's all poetry, really. It's art in so many different forms, all coming together into one, and it's so satisfying, and it's so engaging, and it's so entertaining. Like, a lot of people will compare this stuff to From Dusk Till Dawn. I also want to compare it to Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, where the whole thing is like, oh, The vampires are out there, we're in here. They want to get in, but they have to be invited in. It's like a somewhat inconsistent rule of vampires in modern media. Not that there's a whole lot of vampire media going around out there anymore, but that is the central theme of like what we're dealing with the vampires here, is that they have to be invited in order to come in. So they start playing mind tricks. They start messing with the people. You know, like there's a lot of psychological aspect to the horror here, and I kind of hesitate to even call it a horror film, but that's what it's going to be billed as. But it's really so many different things. And I didn't necessarily find it scary, but I don't think it's trying to be. I think it's trying to be harrowing and disturbing more than it is trying to be outright scary. And to that end, I think it's perfectly serviceable. It's very effective in that way. And to be honest, I'd been saying for years, up until a little while ago, that it seemed like vampire movies were dead and gone, and it feels like Twilight had a lot to do with that. But between Nosferatu and Sinners, they're back, you know? You could say Last Voyage of the Demeter if you wanted to, but vampires are back, and I'm actually really excited about that. And, as any good vampire film is, this movie's horny as shit. Vampire movies have to be horny, and so this is no different. It's a bit more visceral in that, so be warned about that. That's like the only thing that, like, I don't particularly think that sex scenes ever really elevate a movie, but they work here in a way that I find them to typically not work. Everything works in this movie. There's no wasted time, no wasted dialogue, no wasted characterization. It doesn't feel rushed. The ending, I've heard people say, can be a bit drawn out. I don't particularly think so. I think that everything that is set up and touched on over the course of the film comes together by the end. And the ending itself is one of the most beautiful scenes in a movie that I've witnessed in a long, long, long time. Now, I will say there's a lot of speculation that back in 2022 or 3, when they were first negotiating this movie, it probably wasn't supposed to be Michael B. Jordan playing both twins. It was probably supposed to be Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors, but then what happened with Majors happened, and we were robbed of what could have potentially been a really good dynamic in the movie. But I'm not exactly mourning it. I do think that Michael B. Jordan is fantastic in this movie. He's a very underrated actor of this era, and it's about damn time people give him his flowers. I think he was great. Haley Steinfeld was great. The direction was mind-blowing. One thing is that Ryan Coogler loves his long takes, and there's quite a few in this movie, and they're all like, I notice them when I see them when I'm watching a movie, because like I'm typically like subconsciously keeping track of cuts in certain scenes, because some movies just have too many. But like whenever it's been a while since I've seen one, I'm like, ooh, okay, so I lock in. There's quite a few of those long takes in this movie, just like there was one major one in Creed and one really impressive one in Black Panther. It's something that he likes to do. It's one of his signatures. I think Ryan Coogler's probably going to go down as one of the greatest directors of his generation. If he continues to do what he's been doing, like, I thought that he did fantastic with Black Panther, and with Creed I haven't seen Fruitvale Station, but he wants to get into doing a Twilight Zone, or not Twilight Zone, sorry, an X-Files reboot in his next project, and I'm like, hey, looking forward to that too, to be completely honest with you. So go out there, go see Sinners. If I was to give it a score from 1 to 10, I hesitate to do this. I don't think that there's any perfect movie out there, but this is a 10 out of 10. If you don't think that that's realistic, 9.9 out of 10. I don't have any complaints here. Legitimately, I never wanted it to end. I never checked my watch. I never thought about how long the movie was. I was enjoying every single minute of it. I thought it was hilarious, I thought it was charming, and I thought it was deep and impactful when it needed to be. And it's hard to find a movie that can touch on every single one of those notes with flying colors. But that's just my take. If you've seen Sinners, let me know in the comments what you thought of it, if you liked it, if it's your favorite Jonathan Majors, if it's your favorite Ryan Coogler film, and if not, what is it? Probably Black Panther. With all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. See you later.